Ethan Cole wiped the grease from his hands on a rag that used to be white a long time ago. The hum of the workshop filled the air, clanging metal, the hiss of an air compressor, and the faint rhythm of country music coming from a dusty old radio. It was just another day fixing broken engines and chasing overdue bills. But tonight wasn't just another night. "Come on, man, it's just dinner," his best friend Jake had told him. "You've been single since forever. My cousin set you up with her friend. She's sweet, smart, and tired of dating rich jerks. You'll get along fine." Ethan wasn't so sure. The last time he'd tried dating, the girl had walked out the moment she learned he worked as a mechanic. But Jake wouldn't stop pushing, so Ethan finally gave in. Now, standing in front of the Crestview Lounge, the most expensive restaurant in town, he was already regretting it. The valet looked at his old pickup truck like it was a piece of trash left on the wrong side of the city. Ethan tugged at his only clean shirt and tried to ignore the stares as he walked in. The place was all glass chandeliers, piano music, and people who spoke in quiet voices about stock prices and vacations in Europe. Ethan felt like a stain on the marble floor. Still, he scanned the tables, trying to find his date. Jake had said her name was Mia, and she'd be wearing a blue dress. His heart thudded nervously. He spotted a woman sitting alone near the window in a light blue dress, elegant but simple. Her long brown hair fell over her shoulders, and her hands rested gracefully on the edge of the table beside a wheelchair. Ethan hesitated. A wheelchair. Jake hadn't mentioned that, but maybe it didn't matter. He took a breath, squared his shoulders, and walked over. Hi, he said, his voice unsure but warm. "You must be Mia, right?" The woman looked up, her eyes soft but sharp, like they were used to seeing people flinch before speaking. "I'm sorry, do I know you?" she asked politely. "Oh, Jake's cousin set this up. Blind date," he said, scratching his neck. A flicker of confusion crossed her face, then a faint smile. "Oh, right, the blind date. Yes, of course." She gestured to the chair across from her. "Please, sit." Ethan exhaled, relief flooding his chest. "Thanks. I was afraid I'd end up talking to the wrong person." She smiled. Just a small curve of her lips, but it lit her face in a way that made Ethan forget how out of place he was. "I'm Ethan," he said, offering his hand. "Lila," she replied, shaking it gently. Her name wasn't Mia, but he assumed maybe Jake had gotten it wrong. He laughed nervously. "Nice to meet you, Lila. So, what do you do?" "I used to paint," she said quietly. "Now I mostly read. Spend time at home. My life slowed down after an accident." Ethan's eyes flicked toward her wheelchair, and she noticed, but instead of looking offended, she said, "It's okay. You can ask." He swallowed. "I wasn't gonna pry." "I know," she said softly. "But most people do." Something about the calm in her voice disarmed him. She wasn't bitter, just honest. Soon the waiter came, clearly eyeing Ethan's plain clothes and slightly oil-stained hands. But Lila ordered with grace, ignoring the waiter's judgmental tone. Ethan mumbled his order, trying to match her calm. As dinner went on, the awkwardness faded. Lila was witty, intelligent, and surprisingly funny. Ethan told her about his job, how he fixed up old cars for people who couldn't afford new ones, how he sometimes worked late for free when kids needed their parents' car to get to school. "That's really kind," Lila said, her voice tinged with admiration. Ethan shrugged. "Just trying to do my part, you know. The world's hard enough without someone making it harder." She smiled, and for the first time, Ethan saw something behind her calm composure, a flicker of loneliness. "Most people don't think that way anymore," she said. He leaned forward. Maybe they should. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The restaurant faded away. It felt like they were the only two people in the room. When dessert came, Lila laughed as Ethan tried to pronounce the fancy French name. "You're doing better than most people who come here," she teased. "Oh yeah, bet most of them don't have grease under their nails," he said, grinning. "I think I like that," she said before realizing she'd said it aloud. Her cheeks flushed slightly. Ethan blinked, then chuckled softly. "Guess we're both full of surprises." After dinner, Lila checked the time and sighed. "I should probably head home soon. My driver's waiting outside." "You have a driver?" Ethan asked, raising an eyebrow. She laughed lightly. Yes, he insists. My father worries too much. Oh yeah, what does your dad do? Lila hesitated, choosing her words. He runs a few companies. He's very protective. Ethan nodded, clueless to the magnitude of what she meant. Must be nice, having someone looking out for you like that. Yes, she whispered, but sometimes it feels like I'm being protected from living. Ethan didn't know what to say, so he simply offered, well, for what it's worth. I had a great time tonight. You made me forget how out of place I felt in there. You didn't seem out of place to me, Lila said softly. You were just real. I don't meet many people like that anymore. She reached out her hand again, and he took it gently. Her fingers were soft, delicate, but there was strength in her grip. Good night, Ethan, she said as her driver approached. Good night, Lila, he replied, smiling. As she rolled away, Ethan felt lighter than he had in years. Maybe, for once, something in his life was going right. But as he stepped outside, a loud voice caught his attention. Lila, what do you think you're doing? A tall man in a black suit stormed toward her, silver hair, sharp jawline, and eyes that could cut through steel. Ethan froze. Father, please, Lila began. Get in the car, the man barked. Then his gaze landed on Ethan. And who are you? Ethan Cole, sir. We just had dinner. The man's face hardened. Dinner. With my daughter. Ethan blinked. Wait. Your daughter. Lila's face paled. Dad, stop. He didn't know. But Ethan was already realizing what had happened. His stomach twisted. She wasn't Mia. She was the CEO's daughter. And not just any CEO. He recognized the name now. The owner of Hartwell Industries, the biggest auto manufacturing company in the state. Ethan's voice faltered. I think I sat at the wrong table. Lila's father glared. You think? The driver pulled Lila's wheelchair toward the car as she looked back helplessly. Ethan, wait, she called, but the car door closed before she could finish. Ethan stood there on the sidewalk, the night suddenly colder, his heart heavy. He'd gone to the wrong table, and somehow met the one person who made him feel seen. And now, he wasn't sure if that mistake was a curse, or fate. The next morning, Ethan couldn't focus on anything. He dropped a wrench twice, poured oil instead of coolant into a car, and kept staring at the door as if Lila might roll in at any second. Jake came by, chewing on a sandwich. So, how'd it go with Mia? Ethan looked up. You're not gonna believe this, but I went to the wrong table. Jake laughed. No way. Yeah, I had dinner with the CEO's daughter. The one from Hartwell Industries. Jake choked on his food. You mean Charles Hartwell, the richest guy in the city? Dude, what, how are you even alive right now? Ethan sighed. Barely. He showed up. Thought I was some creep trying to, well, you know. Jake whistled. Man, you've got a talent for bad luck. Yeah, Ethan muttered, but she wasn't like anyone I've ever met. That night, he couldn't sleep. Lila's laughter echoed in his mind, the way she'd said, you didn't seem out of place to me. He had no idea why it mattered so much. Maybe because, for once, someone had looked at him and not seen a poor mechanic, but a person. 3 days later, Ethan was tightening bolts under an old sedan when a soft, unfamiliar voice said, do you always work this hard? He jerked up, bumping his head on the car. Ow. When he rolled out, his heart nearly stopped. Lila sat there, in her wheelchair, smiling shyly. A sleek black car was parked outside the garage. Lila, what are you doing here? I wanted to apologize, she said. For what happened? My father shouldn't have spoken to you that way. Ethan rubbed the back of his neck. You don't need to apologize. I was the idiot who sat at the wrong table. But it wasn't a mistake, she said softly. At least, it doesn't feel like one. Ethan's breath caught. Your dad's gonna kill me if he finds out you're here. Lila chuckled. Probably. But I wanted to see where you work. You talked about fixing cars like it was an art form. I wanted to see that. He led her inside, showing her the rows of half-fixed cars, dusty tools, and his small workbench covered in notes. It's not much, he said, but it's honest. I like it, she said. It's real, not polished or fake. Just you. For a moment, she looked around quietly, taking it all in. The smell of oil and metal, the faint hum of the radio, the sunlight cutting through dusty windows. Then her eyes met his. "Ethan," she said softly, "no one's talked to me like you did in years. People see the wheelchair and stop seeing me. But you didn't." He swallowed hard. "Maybe because I know what it's like to be looked down on." Something passed between them then, an understanding too deep for words. Over the next few weeks, Lila visited the workshop often. Sometimes she brought coffee. Sometimes she just sat and talked while Ethan worked. He told her stories about growing up with nothing but a dream of opening his own garage. She told him about her accident, a car crash 2 years ago that left her paralyzed. She'd been driving home from a charity gala when another driver ran a red light. "I lost more than movement that day," she admitted once. "I lost friends, freedom. My father started treating me like I was made of glass." Ethan nodded. "Guess he's scared to lose you." "I know," she said quietly, "but he's already lost the version of me he's trying to protect." Ethan wanted to say something comforting, but the truth was, her words hit deep. He knew what it felt like to lose a piece of yourself to life's cruelty. One afternoon, as they talked, Ethan's hand brushed hers while passing a wrench. Neither pulled away. Their eyes met, and in that silent second, everything shifted. She smiled faintly. "You know this can't last, right?" "I know," he whispered. "But that doesn't mean I don't want it to." The illusion shattered a few days later. A black car pulled up to the garage. 2 men in suits stepped out. Ethan's stomach dropped when Charles Hartwell himself walked in, his presence heavy like thunder. "Mr. Cole," the CEO said coldly, a word. Lila, who was sitting nearby, froze. "Father, please don't." He raised a hand. "Lila, not now." Ethan took a breath. "Sir, if this is about your daughter." "It is," Charles snapped. "I know what's been going on. My daughter sneaking off to see you, a mechanic. You've had your fun. Now it ends." Ethan's jaw clenched. "I didn't ask her to come here. She's her own person. She's my daughter," Charles barked. "And you're a nobody. You think you can offer her anything. You can't even afford dinner at the place where you met her." Ethan stayed silent, anger and humiliation burning in his chest. Charles pulled an envelope from his coat and tossed it on the table. $5,000. Enough to fix up your little shop or buy yourself something decent. All I ask is that you disappear from her life." Lila gasped. "Dad, stop. You can't buy people like that." Ethan looked at the envelope, then at her father. "You think money's what I want?" He pushed it back across the table. "Keep it. I didn't spend time with Lila because of what she has. I did it because of who she is." For a moment, the older man's face tightened, but Ethan saw something flicker in his eyes. Doubt. Lila turned to Ethan, tears shining. "I'm sorry, Ethan." He shook his head. "Don't be. You showed me what kindness feels like again." As Charles led her away, Lila looked back, her lips trembling. Ethan watched the car disappear, the sound of the tires fading into the night. A week later, a storm rolled through the city. Thunder cracked across the sky. Ethan stayed late at the shop, fixing a client's car when he heard a screech of brakes and a loud crash outside. He ran out and froze. Lila's car was pinned under a fallen streetlight, her driver unconscious. "Lila," he shouted, racing forward. Sparks hissed from the wires, rain pouring down. Without thinking, he grabbed a crowbar and pried the door open. Smoke filled the air, but he didn't stop. He unbuckled her and carried her out just before the front of the car burst into flames. She coughed, dazed, gripping his shirt. "Ethan. You." "Shish," he said, holding her tightly. "You're safe." Moments later, Charles's black car screeched to a halt. The CEO jumped out, panic etched across his face. "Lila." She reached out a trembling hand. "Dad, he saved me." Charles looked at Ethan. Soaked, burned, but still standing strong, and for the first time, the arrogance in his eyes faded. "I misjudged you," he said quietly. "I thought you were after her money. But, you're the first man who ever risked his life for her." Ethan shook his head. "Didn't do it for her money. Did it because I love her." Lila gasped softly, eyes wide. Charles was silent for a long time, then nodded slowly. "Then maybe, I've been protecting her from the wrong people." He turned to his daughter. If he's who you want, Lila, I won't stand in your way. Tears welled in her eyes as she reached for Ethan's hand. He's all I ever wanted. Ethan squeezed her fingers gently, rain running down both their faces, and smiled. Guess sitting at the wrong table wasn't such a mistake after all. And under the stormy night sky, among the chaos of sirens and smoke, two people who were never meant to meet found everything they'd been missing: hope, courage, and love that didn't care about wealth, status, or fate.